On the air.
Have one of those little chalk
When
things.
that's in nowhere.
And applause.
You're on the air. So,
Welcome to July 12th, 2022 City Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Webb,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McFall,
Excused.
Councilmember Lacuro,
Here.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Here.
Councilmember Londo,
Here. Approval of the revised agenda.
Move approval of the agenda as revised, Mr. Mayor.
Support.
Any discussion, dissension? Motion passes. Opens up to civic announcements. Anyone from the public have any civic announcements? I see a Chris Laymack. How are you? Just name and address for the record, please.
I am Chris Laymack, and I live on Hazelwood in Hazel Park. I work at the Baldwin House in Hazel Park, and I have a couple pieces of information. The best part of this is this beautification award that we're passing out. We've had so much fun with it. It's just tears, hugs, pictures with the kids, all kinds of good things. It just makes people's day. We had a wonderful article written about us, and I would like to thank the council members who spoke in that article and said all the wonderful things about us. That was really nice. Thank you. We would like to have new members join. We've actually had a couple people contact me that said they would like to join. We'd like to bring some new ideas and different ideas to help us to do better and work harder into Hazel Park. Then I would like to also, the first Thursday of each month we meet at Baldwin House. And I'd also have to put on a different hat and would like you to save the date, the council members to save the date of September 15th. The Hazel Park Madison Heights Chamber will have an after hours at the Baldwin House, 4:30 for networking and 5 p.m. dinner. And save October 7th for the Chamber's golf outing. More information about both will be brought out to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Can I ask what time the hours are at your meeting for the first Thursday each month? 6 p.m. Thank you.
And we serve dinner.
Thank you. Any other civic announcements from the public? We'll close the civic announcements. City Council have any civic announcements?
I'll do it at the
Any?
end.
Good? All right. Public discussion. Anyone from the public would like to come up and speak on any topic they like? You can even cuss ass if you want. I don't care.
Don't give them any
Just
ideas.
as long as it's within reason. We want to hear your concerns. How you doing?
Good. I hope I'm set up because I was told to be here. So my name is Mel Spenceley. I'm with Float Presents. We're looking at doing a cannabis festival along with the Pride on August 14th. So I am just coming before the council to actually ask, I would see if we can vote to actually have us come there. And what we're looking at doing is, I know there's some concerns because I know there's alcohol involved as well with the Pride. With us, Float, which we've been doing cannabis festivals for a long time, we work hand in hand with the CRA and with Lara. With Float, what we would do is we would be on the other side by the rec buildings, and after talking with Tim, we could put the consumption area right between the rec building and the other building, and we'll just hang some lights up there, put a few tables that maybe 20 people, 30 people will fit in. Super small. Tim told us that he has usually about 3,000 people. I'm expecting maybe 100 to 200 people might come over to consume. I'm not going to announce it. I'm not going to advertise for it. I just want to know, like last year, I think they had cannabis there, but I think that this would be a way that we can contain it, regulate it, and be able to have people come into that area. And so I was just kind of coming before the council to see if that's something
It's
might
coming
be.
up under administrative reports, item 1.
yeah, we may have some council.
We're going to have some
questions for
more
you.
talks about it.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate your,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no.
No, you're
like-
We
glad
Came up at the wrong
you
time.
announced yourself.
Okay, so,
And we will have some more discussion on it in a little bit here.
okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public discussion? Anything? Closed public discussion, seeing no one. Consent agenda 1 through 4, with all A, B, C, and all the other ones with 4. Need approval, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 1 through 4.
Support.
Any more discussion?
I would just like to commend the city administration for all of the work they did, particularly with the contracts. I know this was a labor of love, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and I'm extremely grateful.
Okay. Dissension? Motion passes.
Mr.
Now we
Mayor,
Get to,
we do have one contract or two that are outstanding still. We have a few minor things to wrap up. What our intent is, it's the increases look very much the same with all the contracts, so we'll bring those to you at the first meeting in August. And in the meantime, as soon as we get a TA, we'll implement the pay scales. I'm just making you guys aware of that. That's our intention, okay?
all right, thank you. Now I can get to the event application. Mr. Klobuchar?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, we have an application here to do a cannabis event in an area near the Hazel Park Rec Center on the same day as the Pride Festival. Amanda Mason is here. She had the point on doing the analysis and recommendations on this. We tried to speak with all of you today a little bit and give you some background, and since then, we have even some more background. Obviously, the applicants are here, as is Tim from Pride, so if you have any questions, you can ask them. The administration thinks this would be a good event to start out with. It's small, they've got the right attitude, they're experienced with what they're doing, they know how to do this. This is how many have you done? This is their 8th one. So I'm thinking if we're going to approve an event, this is a safe event. We will work with them on a security plan. I'm not expecting trouble, issues, or anything to go wrong with this, and it would be contingent upon receiving all licensure documentation from the state of Michigan.
I'd like to move approval of the event, the Pride Marijuana event application.
I would like to second with discussion.
We have discussion, go ahead.
Okay, can we ask yep, all of you,
Yeah.
please.
Yes.
Also, I saw Serene sneak in. Yes? I have a question for you as well. Thank you. So my background in bartending leads me from the removal of smoking and alcohol. And so I know that that applies to cannabis as well. So I know that when you're applying for your licensure, there can be no smoking allowed in the area where the alcohol permit is.
That is correct.
Okay. My question to you is, have you already received your alcohol licensing?
Oh, me?
You.
Oh, I'm actually going to submit my paperwork, my final paperwork, into the city.
Got it, okay.
Yep.
Through the state, though, have you?
Correct, yes, that's what I have.
Okay, you have the state. And the area that you are looking to host your event
Second.
is completely separate from the area that you have.
Right. Here's what it is. As somebody that's ran nightclubs for many years,
Yep.
what I've ran over these legalities before. What we do is we do meet the 500-foot threshold or more,
Cool.
and it would be self-contained if the room that's, I don't know what it's called, the room off of the big banquet room, the one that is right behind that. Yep, there's double doors, I believe that double doors that go outside, and it's in between the maintenance building and the actual rec center building. It's probably about a 10-foot stretch between the two buildings. What we had recommended, and we hoped that there would be weather barrier or some kind of fencing to block off both ends. That way, you can tightly control who goes in and who goes out. And then put a person of security at the entranceway into their cannabis consumption. That way, everything's tightly monitored. Plus, what I was hoping was with this is to get data back, and then we would share that data with the city, and we can all take a step back and look at it like a test balloon and go, okay, this is what happened on a very small scale. Now we can start, planning bigger going ahead.
Okay. Serene, my question for you is, and through the city attorneys, this area in between the buildings, does that open us to any other kind of liability, or have we Have we
That's
ever-
that's a legal question.
Okay, have we?
That's a question for the attorneys.
Well, I said, I hadn't finished, I said, and the city attorneys, but also, have we ever had any event hosted in that space?
No, it's not typical to have an event in that space. but-
I walk dogs there every week, and I walk through that area, and I always feel like I'm breaking the rules when I walk through there.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great solution. I just want to make sure that we're covering our end.
The only reason that we thought of that space is because of all the festivals we had. We have to have fencing up. The public cannot see in
Yep.
of what's going on, okay? So I thought it was a great space. When you look at alleys and how they're decorated, to have those walls at like 16, they're 14 to 16 feet tall brick walls, we could decorate that to be so cool, right? And then we'll just put a fencing area, but they'll still be able to get out in an emergency situation where we will be able to slide the fencing.
Right.
But we'll have security there. We'll make sure we have the 21. It's important because CRA makes sure that we have to our 21 and older has to be there all the time, so there won't be any kids. I would like to have maybe about 10 vendors. Those vendors cannot sell. The only person that can sell is Hyatt. And Hyatt would be the only retailer on site at that time, would be Hyatt. And then people cannot take, they would have to consume in our area, the little brick area.
Yep.
And then they we can watch them, but if they're buying there, anybody can carry 2.5. There's probably gonna be people anyways down at the other end of the Pride carrying their
Right.
2.5 inches.
Right. They just can't
Ounces.
outside of.
They'll probably come, but I'm not gonna allow anybody, I would lose my license. I don't
Right.
want anybody to come with alcohol. I'll make sure there's no consumption of alcohol. It cannot go hand in hand. It's getting there. CRA told us that. Nancy and I have a great relationship with the CRA, and it is getting there where it's gonna be alcohol and cannabis will be able to be. It's not there now, and I'm gonna follow those rules until it is.
I'd like to make a point of clarification real quick. Just so you know, sorry about that. What they're doing, what I'm doing, while we're working together, like we're supporting each other, legally, their thing is totally different from ours.
Right.
There is no marijuana consumption at the Pride Festival, and I expect it to be, I believe most of you were there last year, to be the same exact flow that we had last year, which was near perfect.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead.
Let me cut in.
Yeah.
So, and how we monitor the number of people that are going to be coming in and out of wristbands. The wristbands will be cut off as they exit, so we can keep a running tab and make sure that we don't have excess number of people inside the area. So if you want us to keep it to 100, 125, we'll buy whatever rules that you recommend. And because we want to make sure the community feels really safe, because that's what's really important. The
safety is
community.
the most important.
Yeah, and it's a residential area, so we want to make sure that we're not an inconvenience for anybody, and you'll see less, you won't see the things that you see go on in a beer tent. Ours are very relaxed. We've never had an incident, and we always make sure we comply with whatever the municipality rules are, as well as the CRA. So we're highly regulated and make sure that we comply with all those rules.
Councilman LaCarroll's got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
In the application, it says the event will be an ancillary, but it will be located in the northern section of Green Acres, so that's changed?
So
The
no-
northern section. No, the Pride Festival is actually in the park under the pavilions.
Yeah, this is the marijuana temporary event, is saying
Yep,
northern corner, northern section of Green Acres. So,
those two buildings.
well, that's not the north at all, just to make sure. That's the south, if that's what we're talking about,
As a picture on those, yeah, right between those.
between the rec center building and the pole barn. Is that what we're talking about?
It's on the,
The main is, they're both.
This is accurate?
it's on the back page of that.
Oh, I have, okay,
Now we're good.
That was the one that we just got.
okay, all right. I won't read, I'll stop reading and trying to understand what it was. My point was, is I wanted to make sure I could find the place.
If I could ask one more thing too, so Nancy and I we're very passionate about what we do. We don't partake in marijuana, but we understand the benefits, and we all have somebody that usually consumes and partakes because of, for whatever reason, it could be PTSD or cancer or for what, anxiety. When we do our festivals, I do reach out to senior centers throughout the area, and we give free tickets for them to get in. I would still do that for your community if you want me to do that. I'd love that. There's nothing better than having them show up. They've never tried cannabis. I'm 60 years old. I grew up in the time when it was, it wasn't good. It was, it was such a stigma. But I love when we get these elderlies that come and they're sitting with 21-year-olds and they just never tried it. So it's very educational, and I love to keep doing that. We have a women's tent normally to help with women, answering their questions for women's health as well, because they may not ask a male bud tender. So we'll keep that the same as we always do it at every other festival. It's just going to be a much smaller scale than what we're used to.
Okay. City Attorney, my question about the legality, does that?
Yeah, no, in terms of that location, it would be no different than any other city property from liability perspectives. They have to have their $1 million policy. We'll have Chief Story or the fire marshal go out and just take a look and make sure everything's fine once they're set up.
Cool.
And obviously, we have the provision in the ordinance that indicates the city manager or any department head for any reason can shut it down. Like clearly, if there was a fire issue, we would work with them to change it. And if it couldn't be changed, that would be that.
Cool. Awesome.
Any other questions from council?
No, just a comment. I'm very excited to attend an event or two events where two of my favorite things are happening at the exact same time. And I'd just like to thank the float team. Your work is legend with Light Up the Night and the Niles Festival. So I appreciate you coming down and not just coming into a new community, but really appreciating bringing up the residents. I'm sure you're familiar with a previous event that tried to happen in Hazel Park, and I think that they didn't value the residential impact as much as you all do. So thank you for your care and your empathy, and very excited that you're all here today.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Well, thank you for coming out, and we appreciate your concern for our
discussion.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that was our biggest concern. Thank you.
It's always better to get the information out to the public ahead of time so that we can answer questions instead of them making assumptions, which is why I asked so many questions. So I really appreciate you guys.
Or not out to the public?
If you guys ever have questions, my number's everywhere, and if you guys, I always encourage people, seriously, please stop by and bring somebody with you, free tickets, whatever. I always give them out to the councils. I want you to come. I want you to see it so that you can see how it's treated, how it's very educational. I would love for you guys to share.
After the meeting, would you please give our city clerk your information for the record? Thank you.
After the meeting. And just for clarification, you're wanting 200 maximum people in the marijuana area with 20 at a time in the consumption tent?
Whatever you decide.
Whatever you decide.
That is what's the proposal, correct? Just confirming.
Yeah, that'll work.
And additionally, we'd like to canvass the neighborhood with the flyer, with the measurements of the actual patio, so nobody's freaked out about the size of the actual consumption.
We would welcome that.
Yeah. I have some friends that live right on Woodward Heights there, so that they would welcome that information, certainly.
I'm kind of wondering if it's a possibility. I mean, what are the hours of the Pride event? And what if you do run into 200, and what are we going to do?
The festival is noon to 8 p.m.
Right,
a long
I
day.
think we can
Good start.
manage this. That's, in previous, it's been a very,
Well, I mean, if
it's been a very nice group of people that
right. Oh, no, right. I'm not
we're a
getting
little
at that.
over, as long as everyone is chill, we're okay.
Right. I mean, if they're holding it to 20 people at a time in the space,
I
I don't know that you really need to limit it to 200.
We need to make sure, because that is a confined space, so I have to
Right.
make sure there's an exit on both
Well,
sides.
they gotta just be able
Safety
to monitor
purposes.
how many people are there. I get it.
So,
Well, that's my point. Just if they're going to keep it to 20, then at a time, it could be 300 or 400. I don't
there'll be some room in the, in maybe the back room of the rec center, and the consumption will take place where it's going to take place. So we can have some room to hold people, so.
Just in the consumption area, understandable, but in the consumption, I don't see that's not going to be packed. There's going to be vendors out.
Come back up. There's people at home that want to hear.
I'm sorry. In the consumption area, I mean, it's not a big space, you know what I mean? I don't think I can see maybe, 30, 40 people will just really put cool tables in there with the lights and just make it really cool. But then there's when you walk out of there, there's like a little parking lot right there, we would put some vendors and stuff there. So we'll make sure, I'll have a counter. You can only have, when 2 people leave, 2 people come in, they can sit in there and get a free T-shirts from, different vendors, and they cannot, those vendors already know, I would lose my license, they cannot hand out cannabis to people there. The cannabis can only be brought, the vendors can be there, and Hyatt may sell their product, and then they go to the retailer to buy that product. If so, if you have Waypoint or Terrapin or any of those, they're Wild or any of them, they just talk about their product and they educate people about their product and then go to Hyatt, pick it up, and then go to the consumption. It's very, very low key, very, very, it's amazing to see people and how many lives you change when they end up leaving something like this. So thanks again.
And that area is fenced in, just so everyone is aware. There's a security plan that they have presented in writing. They have a cannabis security company that they've contracted with, just so you know.
That was going to be my next question was,
All right, thank
they
you.
provide their own security. That's cool.
So we have a motion on the floor with a support. Any dissension to that motion? Any more comments to that motion? Motion passes.
Congrats, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck. Administrative reports, item 2, changing a,
Yes, Mr. Mayor, one of our local dispensaries, they're having what they think is some confusion over their name, that people may be thinking that they are possibly a financial institution instead of a cannabis dispensary. So they have approached us and requested that we consider allowing them to change their name from Common Citizen, which does sound like a nice name for a stock brokerage, to Your Buds. So again, we do have some, interpretation in our ordinance, and Amanda Mason and I talked about this at length today. So she's taken on the cannabis coordinator role with the departure of Jeffrey Campbell. So I don't know if anybody from Common Citizen is in the audience tonight. Okay, did you want to come up and talk a little bit about, introduce yourself and your address and why you want this change?
Hey, excuse me, my name is Raymond Anton, and on behalf of Common Citizen, we're hoping to be able to change the name on our building and possibly move the signage from right up front to maybe the side for a few different reasons.
okay.
Sorry, you said address. Did you mean?
Just for the record.
877.
Like an address, a business address, something we can contact you at.
877 East 8 Mile Road, Hazel Park. Mainly because our sign is facing in the direction of a one-way. So you really can't see that at all unless somehow you're driving the wrong way on a one-way, which I hope is not the case, or you've already pulled into our lot and you're there. People pass our building quite frequently, and when they can't find it, there's no signage to let them know where to go, what we are, or what the building might even look like. It kind of blends in, and I get quite a few people telling us that they either think we're closed or they really were under the impression that, as you said, we are a financial institution, a bank, quite far from. I want to move it to the signage to the side of the building where you can see it on the exit of the I-75 exit, on that side. So when people are heading in that direction, the sign's going to be there. Your Buds, yes, I'm aware of the interpretation of the name, or the word bud, sorry, when it comes to a facility like this, but ours is more so meant in the way, whereas buddies, as in friends, like we are your friends, we're here to help people out, anyone in the community, anyone that might happen to cross paths with us, anyone that comes our way. That's really how we wanted that message to come across, and it goes across with our logos, our branding, and everything that comes with, renaming our place of business.
You got a jingle to go with that too? Like chairs? But anyways, why don't we get down to it? We're looking at the other issue here is do we pay favors to you and make you, have a little extra rights on the location just because of your location of hardship or whatever, when I think we should change the whole ordinance to help change and help other businesses like yours in our Hazel Park area, maybe with adding the word cannabis instead of banning that word. And what was the other one? Flower. And I think we talked earlier today, Mr. Klobuchar, what was the other one? Bud. And we had allow those 3 words, maybe an update to our actual ordinance. Since in the beginning, we were very cautious, and now we have to, this is a work in progress. And trying to look and fine tune this and make it fair for all, not just yourself.
I think
So-
that would
I think that we need to revisit our ordinance in the next meeting, and we'll take a look at that.
A couple points, Your Honor, if I may. One, I do agree that the ordinance could probably benefit from spring cleaning, but I would actually argue that the proposed name change does not violate the spirit of the ordinance. When I look at the ordinance, it says, no utilizing any of the following words: marijuana, weed, cannabis, blunt, doobie. These are all very, very explicit, publicly known terms for marijuana. I think bud is good enough in the abstract that it doesn't actually violate the spirit of the ordinance. And if we were to get into policing the abstract, Green Farm is slang for a dealer. Rush is also slang for marijuana. These are already approved, signed facilities in Hazel Park. So I'm not in the business of playing favorites, and for that reason, I would move approval.
I'm not saying we're playing favorites. We're playing favorites because he's asking for a change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why wouldn't we just make a change to help benefit all?
Aren't we able to do both?
You may
City.
be able to do both. What I would suggest is, again, there are two ways to.
You want to open this up for a lawsuit
No, I think if I thought that, I
for favoritism?
would, well, I think Luke makes a good point, that our ordinance explicitly outlines some of these slang terms, but
But that
leaves.
also includes the language, other similar slang terms.
Well, it does.
So it covers this a little.
But as he also points out, Green Farm.
I did call
Rush,
you about that name, Green Farm.
I didn't know
Right.
Rush.
I did, because I thought it was a violation of our ordinance, and I was
So-
poo-pooed on that, so there's that.
Yeah, and again, so like I said, I think that there's two ways to look at this, because we've got some who want to put the word cannabis into a lot of them, because they're concerned that it's causing, confusion.
Issues like this.
And that may be helpful. This is what, and I think you could probably do both. I think Luke had a really sound analysis and reasoning to his motion. And I think the way that he phrased it is both logical and protective. And I think the other thing that we could do as well is, Amanda and I talked about doing this, we're going to survey, we're going to see, because pretty much all of them are in violation somewhere. So we're going to go and we're going to survey and see what we find there within the next month or so, when, we get some time. We've been a little strapped for time with the departure and the contracts and the departure of Jeff Campbell. So, and bringing Amanda on full-time. So, and I think that's just happened. So, kind of, sort of. It hasn't even happened all the way yet.
What's the point?
Yeah. So what I think we could do is, I think we could grant this tonight and give them, I haven't seen the logo. Okay, your buzz. Okay, I have seen that, sorry.
Really like it.
I do not think this is cool, for the record. I think Common Citizen is beautiful. I do not think this is cool, for the record.
This is
It's, did you want to address that? I mean, it's a
feels-
legitimate,
this feels
it's a legitimate.
This feels very juvenile compared
looks
to
like,
the
yeah, I
beautiful
agree- I
branding
agree
that you
with her.
guys have
This looks
currently.
like some.
So that's just like one of our simple logos kind of put in the place of where the signs would be ideally.
Okay.
As far as it being that exact like font and whatnot, I don't think so. I have like the actual kind of logo files on my
if
phone. It's
you-
more so of, I wish I could have a way to show it or had one with me.
If you would have just changed it to your buddy and made Bud one color and the DY something else,
Stop.
probably could have avoided the
Stop consulting.
Hey,
You owe him $65 for a half hour of consulting. I'm just kidding.
I'm just throwing that out there to you, and that would be cooler, I think, than that. But what do I know? I'm just
So the way that the
dumb shit
image
city
looks,
manager from Hazel Park. I don't know anything.
it's got arms reaching around and coming together at the bottom of it, like around the box. Yeah, like hands coming together. Kind of like that. That's just, buddies, friends, working together. Is like
This is
the-
literally just a mock-up for placement.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, this
It's
is
not gonna be
terrible.
exactly like that. No,
I think
This is awful.
it may be a compromise here. If
In
you
all
approve it, you bring back the logo for final approval when it's done
Cool.
at next month. Would you all agree to that? Is that okay? Is
I
that
like
a good
that.
way to look at that?
I mean, I don't know if we necessarily need it, but
Right.
it'd be cool to see it.
I still believe that we should change our ordinance.
Well, and we're gonna-
Everybody,
we're
not
gonna-
just one person.
We should agree with you.
I wholeheartedly
And
agree
not
with.
pull out the special card because he has a hardship. Oh my God, it's got to be done this month. You know, come on, let's just do it right.
Yeah, and-
So everybody has a fair chance to follow the ordinance. That's how we started this.
And I agree with you, and that's why we're going to look, and, you know, we do need additional signage, and.
If he needs
you've
location
got-
for his signage, that's adjustable.
We've got, right, everybody, both my attorneys are, you know, weighing in on this. So we're going to come back, give us, like I said, we're going to come back with some ideas to modify this ordinance. In the very beginning, we are on the side of caution.
We were very cautious.
We were very restrictive because we didn't want these things looking like.
We didn't want
crap.
to use certain language
And-
because we didn't want to put a stigma on the benefits of marijuana and what it can do.
We even declined.
We didn't want to.
We even declined a mural and made them change a mural by a world-renowned artist
Right.
over the language that was used in the mural.
Because we want to make our city embrace the marijuana and respect it, and people to respect the process of the marijuana industry. We didn't want to sound like a bud or, you know, your buds, you know, that's not a bad way of saying things, but, or doobie or hooch or hash or whatever, that we just didn't want that words on the buildings, you know what I mean?
I think we're navel gazing a little bit at this point. I do have a motion on the table.
Pardon me? Navel gazing?
Navel gazing.
Oh, my God.
Meaning just we're now drifting away.
Okay. Go ahead with your motion. Motion's on the table.
Bring us back next month.
Next month.
Did you want
Your
to,
support, second.
I made a motion for approval of this, and then we
Okay.
can certainly revisit the ordinance at a future date.
Roll call, please.
You didn't get a second.
You got a support on that?
He didn't get a second. That's what we're saying.
Come, bring it back.
Bring it back.
Sorry, Lou, just bring it back. We're on the right track.
We'll get it there.
You're not being denied, but just not tonight.
Kind of unexpected.
and we'll do what we can. Look, I may not be able to have you a whole full revision in the next month.
For the next meeting, I can at least do a proposed change of the words. And then also my initial one would be to propose that we allow one sign per facade. Because there are some buildings like this building
Yeah.
that
I'm not saying this is
should be, I
wrong.
mean, even for public safety, you should be able to know what the building is from all sides.
We got other participants
And there'll be
in the
another revision.
marijuana
Yeah,
industry that would
in-
like to probably change their names as well and make changes to their signage.
Correct.
And I think it's just fair across the board. We've been down this road before, and I don't want to leave us open for any potential people to be ticked off and file a lawsuit again. That's all.
Well, council said it best when they said this is a work in progress. And because it's a work in progress, there's a lot of things that have ebb and flowed along the way.
Yeah.
So if it is waited till next time, this gives administration the opportunity and the time that they need. And there certainly is. I mean, you have a little TM for trademark on the bottom of certain things. What if the consideration is a little word cannabis on the corner of all these signs? I mean, there are a lot of options that have come to fruition, and the city has done such an amazing job to really introduce marijuana, both medical and recreationally,
Right.
that I think the citizens are now understanding the importance that marijuana brings to the
Yeah, I think you're right. I think people
Yeah,
really
I
respect it and the processes in which we have it here.
And our support as a city and a city council for it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's, and I,
The building department and the planning department do approve actually all of the signage, so even though, you know, I mean, we look at them and look at what comes through for a certain aesthetic, et cetera, and for all signs, all businesses.
Okay,
not
so
just
this motion, one's on the table, no support, died, cause no support. Well,
that's not a denial.
Then we need another.
It's not a,
then we need-
no, it's not a denial. It's
Not a
just
denial.
Hang on, then we need a motion to
He
table,
offered
We need
basically
him-
a substitute motion. He's already offered it.
to put it on the next city council meeting.
I haven't offered anything.
I thought you did.
Think-
Oh, okay.
So can't we do both?
No.
Let's just bring it back
It's
and
the
we'll
next city
handle
council
it next time.
Is that a motion, or
No?
just let it,
Direction.
bring it back?
Okay. I'd like to move that the city council direct the administration to bring back amendments to the marijuana ordinance pertaining to these specific issues.
And we'll talk about his stuff.
Yeah, just bring it back at the next.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Roll call? Do we need a roll call?
Yes.
Okay, we're good.
Councilmember Sullivan?
Yes?
Councilmember Londo?
You already started.
Begrudgingly, yes.
Yes.
Mayor Webb?
Okay, motion passes.
It's a beautiful,
We'll work it out.
thought-out motion.
Great. Takes us to the old business, boards and commissions. Anybody here for boards and commissions? Anybody want anybody? Nobody here, okay. License and applications. We have some old business here.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there's go ahead, Amanda, she can brief you on this one, too. Our cannabis coordinator and city attorney.
So, yes, Amanda Mason, Department of Cannabis. I came up with that today. Anyway.
She's the MC, the DOC.
It was a day of marijuana, so we came up with that. 1024 East 9 Mile, this did come off from a couple of weeks ago because you had additional questions for the applicant who is here.
Right, remember, this is the old Village Hall. The applicant requested, I believe, grow and processing, and it was pulled from the agenda at the request of a member of council who had concerns about property maintenance issues and other things of that nature.
Sure do.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the council. Appreciate you guys seeing us today.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. My name is Rami Kreml from 1024 East 9 Mile, Hazel Park.
And
so to start, so he can answer any questions that you have as well, but, we already did submit the city manager's report on this. I did check with the building and code department. There were some grass and weeds in the past, at least on the official record there, but they were resolved when contacted per building and code. And I know that I spoke with the applicant, his father had passed, and he may have some additional background for you guys. I know other questions revolved around perhaps the underutilization of the property, and you maybe wanted to address what some of the alternate plans were with the applicant.
are you going to continue to operate this as a banquet hall?
No, sir. It's actually perfect timing to come up after the last two applicants because they both talked about cannabis. And this facility, what we're proposing is to process and manufacture cannabis products for all these wonderful stores and consumptional events that the city has embraced. This building has been in our family since 1997. My dad bought this. Since then, it's been in the family, what is that, almost 26 years. My dad passed away in 2020. Him and my mom operated it as a banquet hall, who's here with me today. And after he passed away, we hired a property management company to kind of just take care of the property and make sure everything was okay. But due to COVID and all the lingering effects it had after that, they weren't doing such a great job. We let them go. I've taken over the property. I own 16 residential properties from Warren, Sterling Heights, and Shelby Township, as well as commercial properties in Livonia and this Hazel Park one. We could have easily done a million things with this property, sold it for whatever and done whatever. It has a lot of sentimental value to me personally because of my parents' hard work in it. And in the past 6 years, even though I was already in property investment, 6 years ago I had an opportunity to file an application with then the MRA for licensing with the state to be able to retail, manufacture, and cultivate cannabis. And for the past 6 years, I've been able to do that with no problems. I've got locations in Bay City, Battle Creek, Romeo, on 32 and Van Dyke that recently we got approved. And what I'm looking to do with this facility is I've already cultivated a lot of good relationships with processors that make lotions, topicals, body rubs. I don't know if anybody's heard of them. Cho Medicated is a renowned brand here in the state, as well as chocolate makers, Covert Cups, and many other ones that have agreed to...
That's basically what you want to use the building for, is that kind of product?
Repurpose it for a kitchen.
Is that going to require the whole parking lot?
I'm sorry?
Is that going to require the whole parking lot?
No, it actually isn't. So currently, we own the building on one parcel, then there's the parking lot is in another parcel, then we've got the corner right there off of Russell, I believe, that's a third parcel.
I guess what I'm trying to ask, do you have any plans for further development of that corner? It's a very viable piece of land for retail.
We do. We actually have a sign on the property right now. I put a sign up about 3 months ago for sale, lease, or many options, or build to suit as well for that corner. I would like to figure out what I'm going to do with this particular piece of property because that would help generate revenue. And I could go to any financial institution after that and say, okay, well, here's what we got going here, and here's a plan of development for what we want to do here. It's ideal for a drive-through, for many things, and I've talked to the city many times before about doing stuff there and maybe even rezoning a couple of my parcels to be able to give more frontage to that corner parcel.
Walkable area for eateries or whatever, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Make it a walkable area for people to have, food truck area, eateries,
Absolutely. No, I mean,
shop, something like that.
like I said, I'm in the property investment, industry, and my goal is to put something nice on that property and make that
Starbucks would
property.
be nice too.
Yeah, there would be. It would
Can I
be.
ask, the other properties that you own, what are they? What are the other businesses that you own?
So from a residential standpoint, I'll say there's about 17 residential houses from the city of Warren, Sterling Heights, and Shelby, kind of going all up, all the way, from here all the way up there.
The landlord property?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
right.
as well as commercial. I've got a 10-unit strip center in Livonia for the past 4 years, never had any violations, no issues. We maintain these properties. To me, these are all long-term investments, and our number one priority is being able to keep these compliant within the cities, and I've had good relationships with every city, even here. My sister's worked with the city members. I've worked with the city members, 26 years is a long time, and that is why we're here. I want to do something good with this piece of property. I love that piece of property. We've got great frontage. And like I said, it has sentimental value. I want to be able to develop it and make it generate revenue and not only contribute that to the city of Hazel Park, but to also take care of my family with that like my dad did.
Yeah, so that property is literally at the end of Councilmember Lacuro and my streets. Like, we come out, and I drive
busy
past-
corner.
I literally drive past your property 20 million times a day, it feels like.
many
Like,
times.
nonstop. I do have to say that I have not been pleased with the way that it has been maintained. The sign broke a few years ago, and it has never been replaced or repaired. It sat broken. The piece of plastic from the sign sat in the parking lot for months. The parking lot has deteriorated significantly. It's just not a great-looking piece of property currently. And my question would be, do you plan to demolish the building that's there or just refurbish it?
No, so just to kind of go back a little bit, like I said, I had a property management company. I was actually doing the cannabis stuff out in Bay City when my dad passed away, and we hired a company that was charging us to maintain the property, but they failed to do so. However, if you look at the 24 years prior to that,
Right.
never had a violation. We always took care of it. And even now, once I applied and I came and saw the building inspector, Mr. Niemeyer, I've done significant changes inside the building. I've already redone the parking lot in the front entrance. If when you first go in, it was all messed up. I just spent about $3,000 redoing all of that. And the cool thing about repurposing this for production is it already has the kitchen and all that. So being able to, make edibles and so on and so forth by kind of cleaning more of the inside out, repurposing that, I don't have to do nothing with knocking down the building or anything like that. In the future, even though we kind of recently refaced it a little bit, in the future, I'd like to really give it a nice facade look, it kind of look like Green Farm next door a little bit, give it that look. But, those things, it costs a lot of money, and we intend to do them, and I would like to get business up and running, and, financial institutions will be, willing to work with us then. But now that it's closed and it's not operational, it's a little bit harder to get some funding through them to be able to make the changes. But as far as maintaining the property goes, the sign, once I came back down, I took that sign out. Right now, if you see, it's empty. The only reason the sign hasn't went up yet is because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get this approval to put a sign in, or another business was going to go in there to make that sign, so whatever. But we cleaned it all out, cleaned up the electrical, cleaned up the flagpole. I want to put a U.S. flag up there and make it look as a real landmark in Hazel Park, especially with having that much land on the 9-mile corridor, and just continue that strip.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Do you have liquor licenses at that?
Yeah, so I've actually maintained the property taxes, the liquor licenses, the liquor liability insurance, everything you could possibly think of. And again, that was just to kind of see what direction I'm going to go in before I do anything else.
One of the things that the council is always looking for is somebody to bring in something else besides a cannabis business when they grant a cannabis license. and you've got liquor licenses, you've got some property there. I think one of the concerns, and I don't want to speak for the council, they can certainly speak for themselves, is I think there's just this sad thought that this property is really underutilized as just as something like this. It's just used for something industrial.
Yeah.
And you've got a liquor license, you've got something that you really could turn into something amazing there as well. So, you mentioned that you've got the other, do you control all the property?
Yes.
So all the parking lots?
Correct.
Okay.
That's why, like with that corner, were you done? I'm sorry.
Because I think, everybody would look much more favorably, and I'm not saying they're not going to approve you eventually. They had some questions now, and if they have any more questions, I'm sure they'll answer them, and we'll put you back on the agenda for next month. But I think you could really help your case, and you could really increase the value of that property because you've got those liquor licenses there. I think that whole 9 Mile area is ripe for a takeoff. So you're telling me you need some additional revenue to come in to make something like that happen. I think you'd help your chances. I can't tell my bosses what to do or you what to do, but I think you'd help your chances if you were to bring something else to the table with that too.
I understand that, and just to, when we were operating and COVID hit, our business was shut down and my parents were struck,
I understand.
And
absolutely.
At this point, investing long-term, especially in a property like this, if I plan to put a building on the corner, which then is when I would probably like to utilize my liquor licenses, is, you've got to have something essential. We were shut down and our business went, 26-year business that we were building went down the drain.
I understand. I'm very sorry that happened.
Thank you. And all of these other cannabis provisioning centers that are being approved in the city need products. These products come out of the facility that I'm proposing, and being that I've been in this industry for 6 years, we've been producing highly regulated products, and we've crafted these things. I'd like to be able to bring that and utilize that building for that, and in the future, I would like to do something with that corner. Like I said, I've held on to the liquor license for a reason.
Yes, that you're not getting the point. Maybe you need to put together a 2-year plan and come back to us at the next meeting. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, sir.
And help you help yourself.
I understand, so
If you put together a 2-year plan that shows it where you're going to have a retail established business on the other corner of your proposement of the processing place, maybe that can go hand in hand and help you with your case.
what kind of retail business are you referring to, sir?
Even, I think a restaurant.
Something positive?
You've got liquor licenses
So many
there.
opportunities here.
When I went to things, and I can't remember if your family owned it or not when I've been there, but the food was good. You know what you're doing. There's that background, there's that history. There's a crying need for another carryout place. You've got a liquor license. You could do something with like a little
Eastern carryout.
what?
Middle
Eastern carryout. We're begging for that.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic, and that would go over really well. And you've got a liquor license. You could do a small place with a few tables with an outdoor seating there, and you'd have room for parking.
Something really cool.
And because you'd have enough room for parking for that facility and parking for your processing facility too.
We look forward to doing that, sir. And, like I said, we did that for 20-something years in the city. Other people have been able to come in the city and do cannabis without even having any Hazel Park ties. We've done that. My mom and dad were the main people that operated that business. My dad passed, and my mom's now got Parkinson's, so I cannot run a restaurant or do something that I know I'm going to fail at. I know what we're good at, and we're going to develop another building there. We're going to put something there or another business, and whether we utilize, and those are not like liquor license, like a liquor store where you could do that. It's more of for the banquet hall or for a bar. So the options are limited to like restaurant and whatnot, and we've done that for 20-some years in the city, and given the opportunity of something else coming up, we'd be willing to do that. But, at this time, I'd like to redevelop that property, whether we use those liquor licenses or not, because the restaurant business is tough. The man was telling you he's been in the bar business here for a long time, and it's not an easy business to be in. And that's something that my parents were all in on. So, whether it be liquor license involved or retail involved or not. The plan is to do something with the property.
I just want to make a statement about something that you just said, where you kind of insinuated that people came here with no ties to the community. They came here with fully developed, fully funded business plans that we approved. It had nothing to do.
To the city.
Yeah.
Right, it is not, it is
I didn't
it is
mean that in
about.
a negative way.
No, but I need you and I need the people listening to understand
Yeah.
that the kickback that we are giving you is that you're coming to us with a partially developed plan that does not seem like you have full funding for what you currently plan to do, and you're hoping to use the funding that you get from this to increase the viability of this business that you're starting. That is concerning to me. And I think it would be concerning to everybody up here. So that statement about people came here and got a license without any ties to the community is not it's not a fully developed thought. That is a partial opinion of what actually happened.
Yeah,
That was not, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and what she says is correct. And also, some of those folks came and they made certain promises when they received their licenses, and now those licenses are up for renewal, and some of those folks are going to have to answer
They may not
very
get a
tough
license.
questions, and they may not be renewed, and we're prepared to litigate that forever
Yeah.
if we have to. So, it's not just, oh, well, I want this. In terms of the plan that you submitted, it was very, it wasn't anywhere near as comprehensive as a lot of those other plans were. And you, by your own admission, admit you've got, some finance issues with this. So
Prior to that, not with developing the current project that was proposed in the application that I submitted, there is financial obligations that were put into the application and how the funding was going to come, and there is also bank statements attached, and that's how my prequal was given to me through the state. You have to have the proper funding in order to do that. So the funding is there. I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding there, and I wasn't taking, I wasn't saying anything bad about anybody else. What I was just saying is, in that business, the restaurant business, we did what we could for a long time, and now we got to, that's all. I didn't mean no disrespect by that.
I just don't, I do take it a bit personally when
I apologize
it makes it sound
about
like
that.
we
No,
gave things
that- I
away.
didn't- I meant it more
What
about
we
the
do up
restaurant.
here is evaluate the viability of a contract and the qualifications of people to those contracts.
Sound plan.
From my perspective, I'm not here analyzing 3 different parcels. I'm analyzing one parcel and one application and an individual that has funding for that particular parcel. And really just asking us to invest and believe in you and your ties to this community, go back a generation, and now you're looking to decide on the next generation what you want to do with this site. I think coming up with a business plan for the other 2 parcels may help all of us a little bit, but at the end of the day, you need funding to develop these other 2 parcels, and there's no way to say what is going to be needed in the community in 2 years. So I'm not going to ask you to endure that because I know your ties to this community.
Thank you, sir.
Council can certainly kick this back a month, but
I really
think I
appreciate
have
that.
everything I need.
yeah, the administration will put this back on the agenda for consideration at the next council meeting, okay?
Okay.
Does anybody have any more questions for him? If there's anything you think that you want to add, okay, in the next month, contact my office and I'll forward everything that you give me to the council.
I do have one question. So is this application predicated on me doing something with that corner?
Not necessarily.
Okay, so can we talk about this application today?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, because when we submitted, okay, no problem. So when is the next one, sir?
First meeting in August.
First week of August. Thank you so much for all your time. I appreciate it.
First meeting in August, which is the second Tuesday in August.
Okay, no problem. So I don't have to do nothing with the other property, but can you be a little more specific with what you want me to come with? Because I felt like in that application, we kind of did everything we had to
I'm
with our
not
legal
telling,
team.
listen to me,
Yes.
okay? I am not telling you that you need to come back with anything. I told you if there is anything else that you would like to have this board consider, right now, your application as it stands will be resubmitted to the council at the next meeting. Okay, if there's anything additional that you want to provide between now and then. Remember, we don't have a full board. One of our members is not here who will be voting on this, and that is the one council member that had some concerns. So if there's anything else that you want this board to consider, please give us the information.
Okay. How about this? Unless this is not, unless I shouldn't be reading what I've got to read.
No, some of it is confidential. You probably shouldn't be reading it.
No, it's not that.
Oh, it's not the
confidential.
application?
It's just
Okay.
that, under the integrity, moral character, cooperation level and stuff, and building plans, the paragraph, the applicant plans to occupy currently a vacant building and make improvements that will include security, odor mitigation, lighting that considers the nighttime security. Most of this whole paragraph is right back down here in the narrative.
Yeah, it was just.
Well, you're telling us the same thing again, so you're not really telling us what you need to tell us.
Okay.
And that's what we're trying to tell you.
Okay.
When we had plans, we knew the depth, with landscaping. There was cross views of
Like
materials.
engineer's view, literally.
Same with whether it was lighting, the blueprints,
Those are all included in there. I submitted them with the application.
Okay.
But I understand.
But when it's, this is my sentence here. It goes from security and neighborhood needs as well as improvements in landscaping. The staff will be trained and have ongoing education to include fire, safety, medical, emergency, security, and local. How do those two even go together?
I don't know what part you're looking at right now, but it might have been the.
Oh, it's twice in here, so.
Okay. Since the other council member is not here, then I guess, we'll wait until next time.
You're right. You've come here, and we appreciate the fact that you've come here. You've answered questions for the council. That was what they requested of us, that you be brought back before them to answer questions. We wanted to make that happen as soon as possible so that we can get your application up for reconsideration. Okay?
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Just, one thing I'm just trying to get further clarification on. As far as what we're submitting for this application, for it to be a processing center in this building, is there anything stopping that from being a processing facility right now?
They will consider
Approval of the
each,
license.
the approval of the city council.
Okay. And the approval of city council is, from my understanding, was due to maintenance issues and whatnot, and that's what I thought.
Those were concerns that have been expressed.
Okay.
I am not going to tell you that you've met all of the requirements for licensure in the city of Hazel Park. That is a question that will be determined by the city council in a vote of the council. Okay?
Last question, just is there anything you could elaborate on what I could do to come here next time and make this a more refined plan for you all so that it would be
I think you've answered the questions that the council has presented to you.
Okay.
If our cannabis coordinator and attorney can think of anything else, other additional information that she thinks you should present, she'll give that to you, but it's not up to her to be your consultant. If any council members have any specific questions, they'll contact my office, and through her, we'll let you know. Okay?
Thank you so much for your time today. And again, I'm not trying to be difficult, just trying to understand exactly what I got to do. That's all. Thank you.
I understand.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we want to give you as clear a direction as we can, but they have to make the final decision.
And we can't give legal advice.
We can't advise you.
Okay. New business, any new business? Seeing none. Communications from department heads. Any department heads have any comments?
Chief, Serene, Jared, Tim, Tom. They're all here. They all do a good job every day, sir.
Communications from our city attorney, Melissa?
I have nothing, thank you.
Amanda?
City manager?
I just want to remind everybody that Michigan's system of municipal finance does remain fundamentally broken. But I have come here and I have loudly complained about the inadequacies of and outright stupidity of state government for more than 20 years that I've been city manager. And I've been an equal opportunity critic, whether they were Democrats or Republicans. I've found ample ways to criticize the state of Michigan in terms of how they interact with local units of government. But I actually have to pay them a compliment, because in this year's budget, they recognized that older communities with mature pension systems that have been in business since the 1940s have some unique challenges. And finally, there was, in the last budget, some movement and some passage of some pension relief funding for underfunded communities. So I want to thank all of amazingly, it passed overwhelmingly, so I have to thank the Republicans and the Democrats for working together to address what would have been a crisis that would have eventually fallen squarely on the taxpayers in Hazel Park to address this problem and assist with that underfunding situation. So for cities like Flint and Hazel Park and a lot of older inner ring suburban communities that were underfunded, this assistance is greatly appreciated. It's not going to be a shot in our arm in the short term, but it will make a big difference over time in terms of the amount that we have to contribute, and it really dramatically lessens the likelihood that someday there'd be a judgment levied against our residents. Because when I tell you that all the money from cannabis goes to that pension system, all the money from cannabis goes to that pension system. And there's a reason for that, because it is an obligation that we cannot get ourselves out of. It is the first thing that we have to pay. So if we don't pay, the pension system at the state, the MERS system, will sue the city of Hazel Park, and a judgment levy will be levied against every property taxpayer in this city. There is no vote. There is no choice. It simply happens, and you pay. So we've tried to avoid that. That's one of the reasons why we moved into cannabis as much as we did. Even everything that we're getting from cannabis is nowhere near enough to cover the amount that we are required to pay every year to service the pension obligation. So this assistance from the state of Michigan will help. So I want to, Jeff Campbell and Lacey Christensen and I, we actually went to the legislature and lobbied several key legislators, and I'm grateful for their support. I've got to sit down and make a list of everybody we talked to, and I'll be thanking them publicly at the next council meeting. But it was a very important investment in this state's future. So I actually get to thank the Michigan legislature tonight for something. So,
Thank you. Councilperson Sullivan?
I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you guys for everybody that came out today and had a great discussion with us. Thank you for answering our questions and coming prepared with information. I want to remind everybody that the Hazel Park Art Fair is coming up. It's going to be August 27th and 28th from 11 to 7 and 11 to 5. It is at Green Acres Park, which is located at 620 West Woodward Heights. There's free on-site parking, entertainment, kids take-home crafts. We have the most vendors this year, most artists this year, I think, that we've ever had. Each year we just keep growing. It's really exciting. So I hope you stop by. It's family friendly. Invite any and all. Also wanted to really commend our state and our voters here for coming out and signing the Michigan Abortion Rights Reproductive Freedom for All petition to get on the ballot. The state, or the initiative, needed 425,000 and some odd signatures, and they actually gathered 911,496 signatures, the most signatures of any ballot initiative ever in the history of the state of state of Michigan. I really want to give a shout out to all of the volunteers. Many of our residents volunteered and set up signature locations. They allowed me to help advertise that for them, and I'm very proud of the people that are fighting for reproductive rights for everybody to be equal in this state and to protect those in our state constitution. So that's it. Everybody stay safe, be kind to each other. Also, there's some new variants coming out of the lovely COVID beast, which is why I'm up here in a mask again. My parents had COVID and were very sick, so just be careful, wash your hands, be safe, be kind.
Councilman Londo?
I would like to echo what Councilmember Sullivan said in regards to the My Reproductive Freedom petition. When we were doing our pride flag raising, I said something to the effect of vote like the lives of the people you love depend on it, because they very well might. So I would like to reiterate the importance of voting and also remind everybody that there is an election the first Tuesday following the first Monday of August. So if you're going to be in town that day, please vote. If you're not, vote early. And if you can't do that, you can vote by mail. So a lot of opportunities to do so. I think hell froze over because Mr. Klobuchar paid the legislature a compliment, so I just wanted to note that for the record. But do want to agree with his take that we're very, very grateful that the state helped shore up our pension fund, and hopefully they will address some court funding soon. And thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Councilman LaCarroll?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also glad to see the Pride Fest and the consumption event coming together. It'll be nice. Last year's Pride Fest was great. It was about time we've had one. It's great weather out there. Watch out for the bicyclists and the walkers. Bicyclists, you should be, if you're night driving, you should have some lights on. And I just thank everybody for coming out and participating. And remind everybody, if you love somebody, tell them. And if you have children, hug them every day and tell them you love them. Have a good night.
Thank you. I thank everybody for coming out this evening and being a participant in the process. And I also like to thank the young ladies there to have a great event. And doing it right is what we wanted from the beginning. We didn't want an outlandish type atmosphere there. We wanted something that could be done nicely and respectfully to the neighborhood. Thank you. And best of luck. Good luck, Tim. You had a great event last year. It was a very positive event. It was very nice. A lot of people enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it.
Can I put out one shout out real quick?
Sure. Come on up to the
podium.
A lot of what we try to do with the Pride Festivals is get to youth that might be in trouble or might be in a crisis situation. And part of what we've done this year, unfortunately, a residual effect of being gay is a lot of people are turned out or away by their own parents. So this year, what we're looking for, as we did last year, we've decided to take Operation Mom and Dad Hug and put them at the very front greet station. So that way, any young person that comes in and maybe has questions or just needs some attention or some affection from a parental figure, we're looking for moms and dads and people that are parents to greet these young people and maybe offer that little bit of extra support that was cut out of their life too soon. So if we have any volunteer moms or dads that would like to be greeters at the front, we'd greatly appreciate it. And I would love to have Lando as my vendor captain, if you could.
I have nothing going on that day other than volunteering for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. And I hope we have a great event again, once again, and hopefully the weather is nice as it was last year, and we can move forward and open up our city and open arms to the positivity of the future of all. And inclusiveness is what we've all been about, in being respectful to one another. I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.